What's up out there? This is the first of a three-part series. I think it's going to be 3 parts. We are going to talk about the Boneshatter Juggernaut that I have currently built for Necropolis League. I wanted to run through the gear that I have, the choices that I made, and how I built the gear. I want to run through the skill gems that I've selected and why I picked certain ones and some of the things that I've changed and learned over time. And then the third video is going to be the passive tree and some of the ways that I've got it set up. Things that because I've experimented around with things last league and this league. I wanted to do this last league and I don't think I ever got around to it. I covered a lot of the Boneshatter build itself, like as I progressed through it and tested things, but I don't think I ever actually came through and made I don't want to call it a build guide, but a final product, if you will, of how this build goes. This build actually has more to go. I don't think I have any awakened gems on here, or maybe one if I have any. So need to get that built up, but the rest of the build I think is pretty solid. What you can expect out of this build is getting the Eater and the Exarch down. I have yet to try the Maven with this league's build. I have not been able to take the Maven down with Boneshatter yet. So I could obviously improve my damage. I can improve my defenses. There's a lot of things that could be improved on this, but I've got it to what I would call a pinnacle point, that this has got all the content that I've ever been able to do. And I'm actually at level 97 right now. I've got the passive tree kind of where I want it to be for the moment. And without doing anything crazy with like cluster jewels or anything like that, this is basically getting me to through everything I just said. So let's talk about the gear real quick. Starting off, you're going to need a good melee axe and a two-handed axe, unless you're going to go with axe and shield. I have not figured out the shield portion of this. Like, the shield portion will give you more tankiness, and I think it will remove some of your damage, but I have not worked on the shield portion yet. Shield would be if you're going to go for deeper delve. I've made it down to 400 last league. I'm down currently about 200 delve right now. With this build, I have not pushed it further because I was trying to level up to 97. I just got to 97 and I've kind of quit. I quit for the day because I got tired of playing. But I wanted to sit down and talk about this, so here we are. This axe actually came from the Graveyard Craft. So you'll notice that it's fractured. It's got a 119 increased physical damage fracture on it, with an additional 54% increased phys damage and a 10% increased attack speed. The gain mana per killed is all right, but I don't really need it because we life tap everything. Then there's 108 accuracy rating, which helps out a little bit. There is a chance for bleeding, and I've crafted on adds 19 to 42 fizz damage. I could probably get this one a little better because we can go from 24 to 42, but this is kind of where I left it at the moment. The reason I have a Despot Axe is because this thing has a 1.54 attack per second. The axe that I was using previously was a little worse than this. This is obviously better damage than the one I had before, but this is a decent axe. I don't know if how this relates to the axe that I had last league, but this one's doing very well this league. Now you will notice that this is a 6-socketed axe, but it has 5 links and a single off to the side. You do not have to 6-link this whole thing. You can. I saw somebody that actually 6-linked this. They put all their auras into it, and they put like an Enlighten over there to increase their mana reservation efficiency so they could socket more auras and stuff. I did not go that route with this one. Like, this is where I've got my totems in here. Last league, I put my totems in here, and then I can't remember what I had here, but I had a 4 and a 2. I did not have this 6-link last league. I do not have it 6-linked this league, and I just basically got Berserk parked on the side, and then my totem stuff over here. We'll get into the actual gems that I'm using here in a different video, but I wanted to actually show this off here because the axe is really good. You do not have to have it 6-linked though. This particular axe may not be the greatest axe in the world. What I'm saying is the axe is going to make or break your build. You need this to be as good as possible, but you do not have to 6-link it if you don't want to. I don't know of a particular reason why I would put Boneshatter into the axe unless I had like a +1 fizz gem, or like if the axe had +1 to all fizz gems or something like that, or all whatever, however it would come out. Maybe if I had that, I would try to 6-link this and put all the sockets in there, but I don't really need to. I just put basically all my totem stuff over into here. So we move over into the helmet. Now, this one I put call to arms. We've got this little bit of the cry up here, life tap everything, leap slam on here. The helmet on this, you can do a couple of different things. Like these gloves are armor and evasion. We'll get into it when we talk about the passive tree, but there is a reason to put as much evasion in as you can. I did not go that route this time, so you're going to notice that all my gear is basically armor. The gloves I have not yet replaced. They should be pure armor. There is a reason to have armor and evasion, and there is a reason to have a 6-linked evasion chest piece, but this build that I have for this league is basically all armor. So the helmet that I have, I'm really happy with. It's got 1123 armor on it. Global accuracy increased global accuracies on here. A big chunk to armor, plus 120 to armor. We've got 66% increased armor. 14% increased life regen, which is big. All the life regen I can possibly get. A little bit of cold res on here, light radius, when nobody cares about. But I also put 19% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield on here with plus 14 to max life. I don't remember what other crafts I had. I don't know if that one was like the specific one that was the best for this. Maybe there's something different. But it was like, maybe I should probably do life on here. I think I wanted to put as much armor on this as possible, so that's why I went with the increased armor. We could certainly put more life on here. There's some options, but basically that was kind of about it. Was maybe some regen or something like that, socketed melee gems. I chose to do the armor, evasion, and energy shield on here, and actually I should probably change that because that was when I was doing an armor and evasion build, but it also gave a little bit of life on here, so that's kind of where that is. I could probably change that here. The big thing on the helmet is the implicit. 6% of physical damage taken from hits is taken as fire damage. Now that is a Searing Exarch implicit. You really want that? I'm sorry. 6% phys damage taken as fire is an Eater implicit. That is really good. You're actually diverting your damage off into fire. So you want your fire resistance as pumped up as high as possible. I've only got mine at 80% right now. I could certainly get this up a little bit further. There's certain things you can take that bump it up by another percent or two here and there. I've not taken those yet. We'll talk about that in the passive tree portion. But the big thing here is basically that 6% of fizz taken as fire damage is shunting 6% of your damage off. Keep in mind, Boneshatter does damage to you as well as the enemy. So all the time that you can push damage off into elemental damage or something like that, you're just pushing it away and removing that portion of it out. I can't really explain it very well. The way I understand it is damage taken as an elemental resistance kind of strips off some of that damage that you're taking, so you're not taking as much coming in. And the next line down is the Searing Exarch one, which is 8% of physical damage taken recouped as life. So 8% of the damage that I receive, especially including the Boneshatter damage, is going to be recouped as life. So it's basically healing me back up. So that's the helmet that I've got. The Carnage Heart Onyx Amulet, this is about the only unique that I use. I like this one a lot because it's got a lot of attribute points to it. 16 in the top part there, and then 39 in the bottom portion. It gives you some all elemental resistance on here, and then you get fizz damage leached as life, total recovery from life leech bumps up a little bit, and then increased damage while life leeching. The big thing that I take this one for is the attributes and the leech. Like, you're gonna get life recovered from the leeching portion of it, and this fills in, like if I take this off, there's some int that's missing, maybe some dex in there. So if I take that off, a lot of gear breaks. It's not much. Like, I don't need, well, actually the amulet does a lot. Like, I'm not even going to do math, but it's like 50 some attribute points, something like that. So 55, whatever that is, it adds a lot of points to this. So if I take that off, I lose a lot. But the cool thing is you can also put the anoint on there. So I typically anoint martial experience, which gives 30% increased fizz damage with two-handed melee weapons. There's definitely some better anoints out there, but this is the one, I can't remember what it goes into it, but it's a very cheap anoint. That's why I do it, because I think it's like clear oil, verdant, and azure or something like that. It's a super cheap anoint you can put on here, so that's why I end up with that one. I should probably put something a little bit better on here, but that's the one that I've got. For rings, I've got 2 chaos resistance rings. They're both at 23%. This one gives me some dexterity, and I actually don't need the dex on this because I've got this Carnage Heart amulet. I don't have anything on here. So I could actually get rid of the dex on here. I don't need it, but at one point I did. This has an add lightning damage. Ignore that, it doesn't apply. We have a little bit of energy shield. It really doesn't apply. Once you start doing Boneshatter, this doesn't apply. That energy shield goes away very quickly. But this ring here in particular has another 31% chaos res. It's also got some fizz leached as life, and then I've put a 14% increased global fizz damage. I could get that on here. It comes along with the increased chaos damage. That doesn't necessarily apply to this, but the increased global fizz does. I may need to revisit that, but that's the one I've selected for now. And on this other chaos ring, it's got some evasion rating to it, which did matter a lot more when my build was armor and evasion based. But it's also got max life, fire res, chaos res. So both these rings have a lot of chaos resistance into it. And then I've crafted adds physical damage to attacks. So if we go over to the gloves, again, these could probably change out fairly easily, but like I didn't have the currency to change the implicits on the other gloves that I was looking at, and maybe that's why I haven't changed it. But for this here, this was when I was worried about or working towards the armor and evasion part. I could switch this out for a complete armor-based solution, which I think I've got one crafted up. But this one's got fizz leached as life, and then 8% increased attack speed. A lot of your gains of damage from Boneshatter is going to come from increased attack speed, so I settled for that on here. This has got fractured cold res on here, again with the dexterity that I don't really need anymore. In fact, I think I could probably take both these off because this Carnage Heart amulet really does a lot of work for me for the dexterity and intelligence part. I don't have to worry about it so much, but we've got another 17% increased attack speed, plus 32 to armor, which is not a whole lot, a little bit to evasion, 28% increased armor and evasion. Again, this was when this was an armor evasion build. And then I think I used to have my AoE gems up in the helmet, and I moved them over here because I found out I could get this craft here. I believe this is a glove only craft. It's got +1 level of socketed AoE gems and 8% increased area of effect. So this is where I put all of my AoE gems. Like I said, with the axe, I saw somebody put like Enlighten up in the axe, but I didn't want to move this. I thought about it, but because I do have an Enlighten, but I did not do that because this craft, I think it's only a glove craft, but it gives you +1 level of socketed AoE gems. So every one of these has another +1 level to it. For boots, I have, for an implicit on this one, we've got 7% increased life regen rate, 5% increased attack speed, all armor-based boots. This has got some extra strength, which helps out a little bit in damage. You've got a little bit of increased armor, some fire res, increased movement speed. I think this was a essence craft that I made with 30% increased movement speed. And then some stun and block recovery. Okay, whatever. I'm not too sure that matters a whole lot. But then another +67 to maximum life crafted onto this. For the chest piece, I've definitely got a better chest piece, but it's not 6 link, so I'm not using it right now. I have one that's over 2,000 armor, but again, it's not 6 linked. This one, and this could use another couple of, at least one more modifier added to this thing. But this has 1,447 armor. This is a glorious plate. It's got 8% increased life recovery rate, a 9% of damage taken recouped as life. Again, with the life recoup, it's big. 35 to strength, 374 to armor. I believe this might have been an essence craft for armor on this one. Plus 99 to max life, a little bit of lightning res and cold res to finish out whatever I was lacking before. For belt, I go until I get a good Stygian belt. This one's got basically a little bit of life, a little bit of mana, and then big fire res, big lightning res, and then I crafted increased damage on here. I could probably do something different on the crafting part. I need to look at that again. And then the murderous eye jewel that I've got equipped is got some strength, accuracy, and max life to it. For flasks, I am running just, I don't know, I think I just grabbed this thing on here, put gain charges when hit by enemy, and it just recovers. I basically use the life flask just in case I run out low. I may need to run my lightning resistance is terrible. Why is that bad? Oh, because none of this is running. So my resistances are 80, 78, and 78, but over cap, they are 152, 98, and 94. I could probably use, I swapped out the one that provides elemental resistances for one of these other ones. I think it was maybe this onslaught one. So I've got a regular life flask, and then all the utility flasks use when charges reach full, and then they have gain charges when hit by enemy, whether they're gain 1 or, well, they're all gain 2. This one has a chance to avoid being ignited. This has got some increased evasion. This has got some leeches life. This has got some increased cast speed. Like, I didn't pay attention to what came with them. I wanted the gain charges when hit by an enemy. So I'm running an onslaught flask here. We've got a movement flask here. We've got plus 1,500 armor here, and then a 20% more armor when here. So we're going for as much armor as possible. This has 64,976 armor. If I kick both of these on, we're at 93,291. If I move, things go down a little bit, but once I stop, things go back up. That's something I've got on my passive tree, which we'll talk about in that section. But that is basically how I've got this character built out with all the gear that he has currently. I don't have anything that I really want to tweak and change. Looking at this now, I could probably change some of the crafts that I have on here. And like I said, I can definitely change some of my gear out. I think I definitely have some body armor that I want to switch out. This would be a decent candidate, but I think I have one that's like 2,000 or something. I might have used it on another build at this point, but I definitely have some better gear that I could definitely improve the gear. Gloves, everything. Boots are probably okay, but like my gloves could certainly be improved. I thought I had one that I was working up, but maybe these. Trying to get a little bit more dexterity on here for, I don't think I needed the dex necessarily, but this has a little bit of armor, increased attack speed, increased armor, and then stun and block recovery. I think that's kind of, I don't know. I thought I had some better ones, but maybe I do have them equipped on another build. So I don't have any good examples to show, but basically that is the gear that I am using here and why I've got it selected. It's gotten me this far. There's definitely some tweaks that I could make to it, like my body armor, the gloves and stuff like that could certainly be improved. I had a really good helmet at one point. That one's 1,000. These Burgonet things, Burgonets, however you say that, those are really good. The other one might be equipped somewhere else, but like this Royal Burgonet, and then there's the Eternal Burgonet. This one's got 1,123. That's why it made the cut. This one's only got 1,047, and this one's got 1,011. And I had another one that had, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of armor on it, but I wasn't able to work it in the way I was able to work this one in. So anyway, those are kind of the choices you've got with this gear. This is basically an armor build, and like I said, it's kind of where I want it to be for this league at the moment where it's at. So that will do it for the gear section of this little series. We will catch you on the next one.